All right, I got your name tags. Up to you. All right, so today we're wrapping up this Geno's saga, and we're kind of reviewing what had been done with Dr. Meeks and his consultation. So, of course, the first thing they did here in the strategic moves was to hire that outside consultant, got that evaluation done, and we're able to make a lot of adjustments. So yeah, anybody want to take an adjustment to discuss?
Yeah, sure. I did like that Joe was open to all of the suggestions that were made by the outside consultant. The first one being like family member buy-in and making their lifestyle adjustments, which included like a reduction in salary to be market. And then for Joe, he's taking no salary for the next 2 years at least. And then they also all agreed to financial planning lessons and budgeting, including Barbara, who's not even a part of the company, but is part of the family, and so now she has to learn how to budget. I think that's great.
And to piggyback off of what you were saying, the fact that now the expectation is that family gets an opportunity, not necessarily a guaranteed salary, is major. The opportunity to learn and grow instead of just getting paid these crazy, ridiculous salaries. Big deal. And adjusting their salaries for all the employees.
You know, I think all of us and probably every team in the class agree that there needed to be a reduction in salaries. But I was absolutely shocked to see that Joe decided to take no salary for 2 years. That's a big step in the right direction, especially as a CEO put into the position. I wonder if that would have been the case if the situation were a little better, or maybe wasn't so on the brink of bankruptcy or anything like that, if he would have decided to still take zero salary, kind of reduce the workforce how they did.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes along the lines of them talking about they're only going to take like a profit, if anything. So that means he has to make a profit. So he, definitely reducing that salary to make that return on investment higher so that you have some kind of profit to at least still take something home as well.
Oh, and I just wanted to mention one other thing from that last slide too, is the fact that they're now focusing on training, making sure that everyone is really focused on providing great customer service, because you have no business without customer service and product knowledge, and allowing every single role of every capacity to be in this actual stores and learn how the process goes is going to be crucial and really set them apart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think they could have made some more strategic moves, though. I think it seemed a little bit easy on their end. Maybe we kind of assumed how bad the situation was, and we kind of, or at least I assumed some courses that were kind of fix things right now instead of a more kind of long-term outcome.
And I was a little bit surprised that they terminated Anthony, and I wonder if that had to do with him like not being willing to take a reduced salary, or if there was like other things going on that we weren't privy to. I don't know.
I mean, looking at the amount of money that they were trying to save and the debt that they were going to get out of, the money's there. Anthony was drawing $700,000 plus a car plus paying on his mortgage. That's almost $1 million a year. And then if you factor in Joe not taking a salary for 2 years, and then the other family members adjusting their lifestyles down, all the other employees, stuff like that. I would have probably liked to see some stores that aren't performing well. From what I remember, all the stores were performing kind of poorly. I don't know if that's an accounting issue or if that is just the sandwich business, how like you get a sandwich maybe once or twice a week. But so I don't know. It's kind of, I was thinking some stores were gonna have to close amongst the other cuts that they made, but it's good to see that they didn't have to do that.
Well, they ended up cutting out their like soup salad and like bakery pieces and just focusing on like the sandwich business, which I think is good to be able to like streamline and really focus in on what their like what they were really wanting to have be their product.
Yeah, I think that all kind of like, we were looking at ways that they're now kind of moving forward and progressing, obviously if they would have failed, as we see here, Anthony, he owns that bakery, but could he necessarily run a baking facility if his family wasn't running the business out of it? Like, does he really have those skills to do something like that? Um, but we can list here, whatever people have actually done, and they actually show that they have some of that business acumen to put into a business. So yeah, I mean, Anthony, I think being let go is kind of something that you could have foreshadowed just by making so much money to basically run the building.
To think about it, we see it's very common for some high-ranking officials in companies. Something happens, profits are down for a year or a quarter or whatever it might be, and then they kind of get let go. They get a real nice severance package, and then they're off to the competitor. And it's just a lot of turnover. You see it a lot in the aerospace and the defense industry. So I mean, maybe Anthony could go work for I don't know, Panera Bread or something. Who knows?
I think he'll definitely have some skills that'll be valued. They just no longer were needed by the family business since they brought the bread into each of the stores. There's no need for having a facility devoted just to that. So I think that was the reason for letting him go.
I also think with that, it kind of missed an opportunity to go a different route with the bread. If you look at all the other sandwich shops, they all make their bread in the shop. It's not like you're doing anything special. You go to Subway, you see the ovens with the bread on the back. You go to Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's, you see them pulling out fresh bread. But if you go to places where they have really good bread, like Cheesecake Factory, you see it in the grocery stores now because people like the bread that they make. So let's try and find a way to advertise that. So I think they missed an opportunity there, but I think that would have been a really long-term process for them.
Yeah, speaking of, I mean, that just planning and doing some things for the future. I mean, we're assuming here on this question that the business was sold or is sold, and kind of discussing whether that would have been foreseen. So one of the notes that I had on here is they could have planned for, for being selling the business, if they had created an environment where people are going to be attracted to purchasing it. So they didn't necessarily have that, with the bad culture and, not necessarily having positive sales or anything. So I think that would have been a good way to go if they were thinking about selling, is actually planning for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think in addition to being able to plan for that, it would have been good for them to document like their strengths, whatever those were, in order to be able to attract potential buyers, and just exploring other options in general. I don't think that's what this company did because they weren't the best at planning to begin with. So I doubt that they even looked at other alternative streams of incomes. I know we had mentioned in last week's video the potential for maybe like franchising in the future, or like Eric mentioned, being able to sell their bread in stores, looking at all the different options to bring in money. So yeah, that would have been good for them to do.
Yeah, it didn't seem that they were doing like a lot of self-reflection and like assessing things on a regular basis. It was more like, oh, we're now in this situation, like let's bring in someone else to like tell us how to fix it. They weren't able to do, a lot of that analytical work on the things that they were doing.
I think they definitely missed the opportunity to consider selling the business. It almost seemed like when Gino passed away and Joe took over, it became like a teenager getting their first credit card. And it's just like, hell yeah, I got some free money. I don't have to worry about any of this. And then it's the realization hit where, whoa, I shouldn't have been buying all that pizza, or I should have been kind of budgeting this or planning this out. And it definitely didn't seem like that was on anyone's mind until it was too late.
Do you think the reason for that was the unconscious incompetence? Because I think so. I think it was just purely just a lack of knowledge.
I don't know. Not knowing Joe, it didn't seem like that was so much the case with Gino when he was running the business. It doesn't seem like Gino passed down a really failing business. So maybe Joe was just such a nice guy and teddy bear like we heard about, and he didn't want to say no to anybody, or people knew that and they were trying to take advantage of him. So maybe he just needed to have a little bit of that business acumen and that backbone to be able to like, hey, I don't want this to go down because this is going to affect me and my family more than it already has. Maybe I need to fix some stuff.
There's probably lots of lessons learned, I would imagine, for future. I don't know if they're ready to, try their hand again at another business per se, but I think they've learned something.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like, I mean, we've all kind of learned something during this course. Some kind of just analyzing this course, and we had a few thoughts here. We all kind of like the weekly group meetings and providing that discussion, hearing each other's perspective, and just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other to really internalize that material. Anybody else have any thoughts for how the course went?
I really liked it. To be able to really like apply what we're learning as opposed to just like writing papers, which is great and all. But this was more interactive, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, having a real world case to like dig into and
Mhm.
having other people to, like Kevin said, bounce ideas off of and really dig into the information. I think that was really helpful. I don't know that I would have necessarily gotten there by myself on some of the things that we talked about. So having all of our different experiences come in and like play a part in that was really great.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same mindset. The real world case analysis that Dr. Meeks provided, all of us an opportunity to kind of learn. Thinking about some of the stuff that we talked about in the course, it seemed like it was common knowledge. We all kind of have a business background because we're all MBA students here, but you would think, hey, that seems kind of easy. You're spending a lot of money. Get rid of who you're spending the most money on. Um, but I don't know, maybe that's kind of where family business and family ties into it. It's that puts you, it's harder to say no to family because there's the relationship aspect and, oh, but I love them, or oh, they're family, as opposed to someone who you only see 8 hours a day and you have no real emotional ties to, where you can make those hard decisions.
And that's
Great
what makes
point.
this class so great. Get
Yeah.
to contemplate all of that before we all start our own businesses. All right. So if anybody have any other notes before we wrap up the recording?
If any of you guys want to start your own business and need somebody to run your baking facility, please let me know. My starting salary is in fact $700,000. You don't have
Are
to
you
worry. I have
secretly
my own
Anthony?
car. I have my own car.
Right.
You
That'll
don't have to worry
cost all of
about
us
that.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
goodness.
700K
You're
every
there.
time.
Ready? All right. Let's wrap it.